And she can't come.
Okay.
The other one I don't know is on the agenda.
Let's see, communications, hospital training certificate,
Oh, somebody else.
office hours get changed under code enforcement?
Just a little bit.
Letter of state contract guidance speed on Pentecost Road.
Is that correct? Did you say so?
You can share mine.
I think so.
Thank you. Put checks next to them.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, yeah.
Okay. Just drove in, but I think we ought to get started.
So, oh, Mr.
Okay.
Press.
Oh, wait for me. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Granby Town Board, and we will begin with the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The town clerk will please call the roll.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Here.
Counselor Anthony is absent.
She's excused due to illness.
Counselor Greco?
Here.
Counselor Haggerty? Here. Counselor Arnold?
Here.
Highway Superintendent Moyer? And Deputy Supervisor Opanowski.
Okay, could we have a motion to dispense with the reading of the previous meetings? Those are February 14th and February 28th.
I'll make a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meetings to accept them as written, 2/14 and 2/28 of 2001.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have had a request this evening from the Lake Niatawana Reclamation Committee, who has been active for 12 years, is it? At least, or more, and still going strong, and they would like to present some information to our board. So,
We've got some handouts if everyone doesn't have a copy of what we have in mind. I think the board members have it.
Yeah, okay.
This is for the town.
okay, I will file it, we'll file it with the town clerk's office, and if anyone wants to.
What you have is a summary of this. This is a technical report, and it's a breakdown of what's in there.
Okay, very good, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor and the members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to present our latest endeavors here of the lake reclamation. Mike Body and Joe Ellerton, our president and members of the board, the committee we have, and of course, for everybody's benefit, the committee is sponsored and supported by the town of Granby and the city of Fulton by appointments. And the endeavor of the committee is to evaluate the state of the lake and make some recommendations for consideration for improvement if that's being found to be done. The interesting part of it is that the committee has been together since, has been formed since 1988, one man or the other. In the years that have followed since 1988, a lot of money and time has been, effort has been put into information on the lake, investigations and analysis of the concerns of the lake. The fruit of that has come to be a effort to consolidate all that information and get some recommendations from the citizens of the community as to what uses we prefer for the lake to be used in the future and what method we would do that in and what the cost would be. So taken from here, I would let Joe Allerton come up and give a little explanation of what the problems are. Oh, I'm sorry, Sam Police is here also from the committee.
As Jim said, over the last 12 or 13 years, we have been working with different organizations, Cornell University, Soil and Water Conservation, Cornell Extension, and coming up with several projects to study Lake Nantawanta. After all this time has gone by and we've spent an appreciable amount of money, we felt that the lake wasn't making the progress that it should under these circumstances. So we asked Senator Wright for another grant so that we could hire a concern to give us a state of the lake report. And we have just gotten that report, and this is a copy of the report here. Trouble is, of course, each copy costs $40. So we have made this brochure that takes the important information out of this so everybody can have some. Sorry. If you look at the front page of this brochure, you'll see that the step 1 is a state of the lake report. And that's what we now have. It look back over all the results of all of the studies that have been made and pulls them all together and gives us a concise statement of what it all means. Step 2 are community presentations, and that's what we're doing now, so that people will know what's going on, and we want to involve the public. Step 3 is a community workshop, and this is a very, very important step. On the last Wednesday in March, March 28th, at Fulton, the consultant is going to come to Fulton and make a presentation to the public on the State of the Lake report and discuss the possibilities for the future. So we want everybody to be able to look at this information now and come and ask questions. It's an opportunity to involve the entire public. Then, after that workshop, the consultant will make recommendations on what to do with the lake. Then, in the fall, there'll be another workshop where the consultant will come and present the recommendations of his report. And we've asked the consultant to give recommendations on what to do. No alternatives, but tell us what they really think should be done to the lake. To tell us how much it'll cost and what we can expect to happen when they do it. So that's what we're shooting for. After we get that report in the fall, with the recommendation report, then we have to decide and find out how to raise the money. Sorry. And that's going to be considerable, so that there won't be any fundraising campaigns. We're going to have to get the money from the state or the federal government to fix the problems of this magnitude. And then after we get then if and when we get the money, then we would hire engineering concerns to go ahead and get the project done. However, it's very important that everybody understands the nature of the problems and what the alternatives are, and that's why we're trying to include everybody. We've had 300 of these brochures made, and the Valley News is going to publish a version of this next Wednesday on the paper, and there'll be 10,000 copies going out of that, so that I think everybody in the area can understand what's going on. Now, if you look at this, we'll go through this very quickly. If you look at this, particularly the first colored frame, the Lake Neotawanta major watersheds. You people in Granby are particularly involved in this. You see the blue set stretches Lake Neotawanta. Tannery Creek comes out of that low V up in the top. And of course we have Sheldon Creek going in, Lake Creek going in, and Pine Hill Creek going in, as well as some of the others. The important thing here to look at is the size of the sub-watersheds. You can see where the sub-watershed that all goes into Sheldon Creek before going into the lake is the largest. That's that green. That's all one sub-watershed. Everything that falls within this area winds up in Sheldon Creek going into the lake. And the red one is the Lake Creek watershed, and that goes into the lake too, and the Pine Hill Creek is on the top. Now, there are many problems in the lake, but there are two basic problems. One is that there's too much nutrients going into the lake. The DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation, says that the phosphorus concentration in the lake should not exceed 20, let's call it to say 20 units. But in Lake Neotawanta, we have 200 units. So the phosphorus content of Lake Neotawanta is 10 times what it should be. So there's quite a problem of getting the phosphorus, taking care of the phosphorus. That's really going to be a big job. Now, where is the phosphorus coming from? If you look on the map 2-1, you can see where the concentrations of phosphorus in the streams is indicated by the colors on the graph. Now, what the soil and water conservation people did, they hired Brockport University to come and they took samples at different points of Sheldon Creek, at different points. And then they analyzed the composition of the phosphorus at those different points. And you can see where in the red area, the phosphorus is between 127 and 214. It's the highest of that set. In the green area, it's down to 1 to 56. So you can see how the concentration of phosphorus in these geographic areas is very high. Now, one big problem is that these levels of phosphorus in this figure map to 1 are what they normally are. Now, when it rains or when there are storms, what they call events, then look over to the other chart on map 2.2, and you'll see where the phosphorus contents go up even higher. And so that the event flows are very important in contributing to the phosphorus and nutrient levels of the lake. Now, if you look at the last colored page, you'll see that there are 7 little icons there, figures, and notice that the first one shows the phosphorus concentrations in those three streams. Sheldon is around 100, Lay is around 225, Somerville is around 125. Now, notice that the concentration in Lake Creek is higher than in Sheldon Creek. However, if you look at the next figure, you can see where the flow of water in Sheldon Creek is much higher than Lake Creek. So the flow, Sheldon has a much more flow than the others. So look at figure 2.7 down the bottom there. You can see where the amount of phosphorus coming into the lake from Sheldon Creek is much higher than the other two. So the biggest problem that we've identified so far is in Sheldon Creek. And as I say, the phosphorus content in the lake, where the DEC recommend no more than 20, is 200. And so the phosphorus coming into the lake through Sheldon Creek we have to look at a lot more carefully and decide what the possibilities are there. Now also, in the phosphorus, when we started this work in 1989, the phosphorus content in the lake was 128. 1993 was 171, and now it's 200 and more. So you can see where, in the time that we've been working on the lake, the phosphorus is going up. Now, just for your comparison, Otisco Lake is 17, Onondaga Lake is 81, Cross Lake is 66, Owasco Lake is 4.5, Beaver Lake is 101, and Skineatos Lake is less than 1. So those are just some comparisons of the lakes that you are familiar with. Now the other major problem is suspended solids coming into the lake. If you look back at the table with the 7 icons on it, the upper right-hand one shows the amount of suspended solids coming into the lake, showed in Somerville and Lake Creek. Well, the amount of suspended solids coming into Sheridan Creek turns out to be about 9,000 tons per year. 9,000 tons per year is going into Lake Neontawantas from Sheridan Creek. This is a tremendous amount, and it's just making an impact on the lake. The other thing I might say is the lowest picture on the right-hand side talks about fishing, and back in 1992, Lake Neontawantas was a tremendous bass fishing lake, and the bass fish have been reduced now, and it's still a good fishing lake, but can't compare what it was back a few years ago. Now, I think that the suspended solids content in Lake Neontawantas now is around 40 units. In 1989, it was about 11 to 18. Let's say 15. So it's gone from 15 to 40 in the time that we've been working on it. So the lake needs help, and we've got to find out what to do with it. And I think if you can look over this information, and if you read the written literature, you get a lot more information and details. But I just want to emphasize that the basic problem is too many nutrients are coming into the lake, and too many solids are coming into the lake. And if it just continues, that's of course a natural process, and the lake will eventually become a swamp. But if we want to keep the lake for sports purposes, for swimming purposes, for boating purposes, for fishing purposes, something will have to be done. The problem is a very complicated one. It's a very technical one, and it's going to take an awful lot of money. So the whole community is going to have to be involved, because we're going to have to get grants and funds, and people are going to have to agree that, well, what we're talking about doing makes sense, and everybody agree that this is the thing to do. So that gives you a brief picture of the problem, and Jim will add some more to that.
I guess to sum it up, it really is that the information is going to be gathered from the community at large to support some plan of use for Lake Neontawantas, whether it's swimming, boating, camping, or whatever in the areas that are impacted by the resource of Lake Neontawantas. On the 28th of the month, we're having a meeting at the City Hall in Fulton, 7 o'clock, where we're having the consultants come in and provide us with information and descriptions of what this data is all about for the public to be participating in. And in the end result is we will take and have some comments reviewed by them. Whatever the information we obtain will be reviewed by consultants, and a plan will be submitted as to capabilities, what the cost would be for doing the different results of the discussion, as whether or not if you build a dam or you dig a hole or whatever you want to do, what the effect will be, what the costs are going to be, and how you go about it. And with that plan, we would take and hope that we could submit that to funding agencies in the federal government, state government, to support the management and practices that are being surrounded in the, handled in the watershed of the lake, and also in the improving of the lake. That's the goal, is to have some sort of community plan that everybody could presumably get behind, to take and ask for some help to improve the quality of the lake. And that's the sum of a lot of time that these gentlemen on my right have put in since 1988 trying to accomplish it. Any other questions?
I had one comment to make before, I don't know, I know you said you've already made up these brochures, but perhaps for your public meeting, would it be possible to put the roads in so that,
Yeah,
that it puts...
Yes, that should be done. I was going to have that done today when I had those overheads on my projection done, but I didn't do it because they were in different scales than what I had on the map. But so you can locate.
So you can put it in the right context and you know,
Well,
where am I as compared
just give you a
to...
little idea. 176 comes out of Fulton on the as you're looking at that map, on the right side of Lake Nianawana, and it shoots almost diagonally across and comes out at the probably on a diagonal. It comes off almost near the end of the red on that particular side. It's a map. Sure. It's kind of hard because I should have had that in there, but they didn't do it and we didn't. But this line from here, you're coming across the point of often Lake Nianawana. From the city of Fulton, 176 is shooting something like that, right on a diagonal. It takes up most everything you see is to the north of 176 that you got, because there's only a little bit of the watershed that's being affected on the south side of it. Good point, and we should take and consider that. Any other?
Jim, how'd they come up with the names for the creeks there?
The people who did the survey work just took names they had in maps, and then they just put some names with it so they could
Identify them?
document it. The ones that are Sheldon and Lay, of course, were there, but the other ones were some they just put on because there was property boundaries there they could go by or something, or some way of identifying for their benefit.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't trying to take and change the whole world here.
It looks like they're even out of order from what I know of them.
Anybody else? Anything else?
I was just,
Mike? Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was curious because I know Mike and all you guys were working on this, and I've been around for a while. How, you started this in '88, but since '92, you even got more of this. What's this?
Phosphorus?
Phosphorus, thank you. Into the, still not saying it correctly. Where is it all coming from? Just from the farmlands, and it's just flowing automatically into this lake? Is that it basically in a nutshell, or is that too simple?
Well, it's accumulation of things. You've had some population growth, the farmland thing that, that's part of the study we're doing, is identify where the problems are. And possibly in that process of identification that we would take and end up with some grant request to take and specifically state where they are coming from, so we can resolve it that way too. I mean, it's a good question. We had that brought up today.
Yeah, I was just, is there going to be some way of slowing it down, even if we're able to get the money or to stop it? I guess that's what I was thinking.
Well, that's part of the questioning we're going through on it too. Mike, you want to say something?
Well, not to hedge that, I passed out these little questionnaires. These are a very, very important part of this procedure, because what we've asked these people to do, or what we are trying to develop with these people, is an endpoint. In other words, what do you want the lake to be used for? The remediation plan is going to be determined by what we want to see the lake uses be. If you said we want to drink this water, it's a whole different procedure than if you say we just want to swim in it. And the cost associated for developing water of a certain purity accelerates with the amount of purity that you're intending to accomplish. So what we wanted people to do is fill out these little forms. In fact, if you guys have a few minutes, everybody doesn't mind, just check these off so I can take them with us. And what that does, when we give this to the consultants, we'll get a picture. We're giving these out to as many people as we can, and we'll bring it up and bring it to the meeting on the 28th as well. If the priorities are to fish and to swim in it, it makes a whole different picture than if somebody writes at the bottom, well, I'd like to be able to, drink it, right? We don't think that's going to be what people are going to want, but we need to be able to tell them what the end point needs to be. If phosphorus reduction has to be a certain amount in order to accomplish these things, then that's what they have to shoot for in the remediation plan. That's the dollar amounts that are going to go along with it as well.
Follow up on what you're saying, unless I misunderstood Joe. He made Onondaga Lake sound a little bit better as far as the phosphorus goes, and yet Onondaga Lake is a disaster, everybody said, and they've already put, what, billions of dollars in it. I don't know if our representative in Washington, D.C. can get a few billion for Lake near water or not.
Of course, the problems with Onondaga Lake are more heavy metal type than this. These problems, the problems we have, are naturally occurring substances, not
I think that's important to point out, and I believe that was what was found in the first study, the FX Brown study in 1988, that there were, because this is not toxic chemicals or heavy metals that are entering the lake, and that's very important. And certainly if they were, the priority would be even much higher than it is.
They're naturally occurring in a lot of cases, and that's the part that's hard to take to say where it's coming from. But anyway, whatever we do in it is got to have a need. Someone got to say, this is what we want to do, and then the cost associated with it, and then the process of developing the funding for it. Anybody else on the committee or board, you got a question? I see you working on it.
Yeah, you're right.
Did the study find a cause and effect regarding the fishing? It gives statistics, but is this, did they definitely associate that with the...
Yeah. Fish are naturally related to weed growth. There are very few weeds in that lake anymore. And one of the problems with that is because the water's become so turbid, it's become so algae covered that sunlight does not penetrate, weeds don't grow. Weeds don't grow, fish don't grow. So what's happened is the fish population seems to be following or decreasing with the turbidity of that water. And that's what we've been told, and it certainly makes sense. It certainly makes sense.
There used to be some excellent northern pike in there.
There used to be lots of excellent things in there.
They're no longer?
The last time that they electroshocked that lake, I think they may have found one or two northern pike, but I could be wrong because at one time they found none. So there are very few. Now, the fish population, it's difficult to attach the decrease in fish population exactly to this because there are lots of things you could have. You could have a winter kill and the fish population could change, and there's lots of things that could change it. But it makes sense what they were saying, that the weed growth determines the productivity of the population of fish, and there's not a lot of weed.
So
Can I ask a question? I know Somerville's farm has been doing a lot of work trying to mediate the effects of their farming. Have you seen anything show up in the data, or was the data collected before they got into the
that data was collected previous to this, the study we got here. They just did it in the last year or so. So we don't have that. We don't have that accumulated in it. But there's ongoing readings of the water that's going out of Shelving Creek. So there may be something to go with at a later date. But the real one of the problems is you're taking just a little part of that watershed and doing some treatment of it, and you got the rest of it still going. So that's a concern. What is it going to take to get a handle on the whole concept up there? And the watershed is one part of the package that's going to take some money when we get done. Hopefully we can get some money to alleviate the problem out of other people's pocket, so the local farmer doesn't have to cut the thing by themselves. It should be done some other way. A lot of people are involved in this thing, in the town and the city, and the county people and so on, so really appreciate that. Anybody else from the committee then? Okay, so the only thing I can remind you of is on the 28th in Fulton, we're going to have a discussion of it by the consultants. We'll give a very positive report as to the facts that's in the information here. Thank you.
We thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I indicated to you earlier today, we do have a board meeting on the 28th.
Yeah. Unless we change it.
Do you have any feelings about that?
I don't know, I leave it up to the whole board as a consistency. If we'd like to change it, as long as I know ahead of time, it's not a problem.
Well, we can think about it. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know how interested you are in attending that meeting, but I have some concerns about the impact on our farming community. And
Mike? Let's see. Everyone could rate a 1, Mike, just about, but you don't want me to do that.
Do that if you want to do that. If that's important to you in that regard, you put 1 on every one of them.
Well, I'm going to be, because I'll put a 1 here, and we'll go with
if you put a price tag next to those, and
Yeah, I know.
your results would be different.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm going to have Ruth keep
Thanks again, gentlemen.
this copy in her office, and I want to read it. Anyone else who wants to come in and look at it. I think it might be important to read the whole study and not just the
Highlights.
highlights.
Gory part.
Okay, carrying on.
Constable training certificate.
Okay, I have a couple of announcements. Just wanted to mention that our constable has attended a training for chemical agents aerosol training. That's like pepper spray, and he said it was very enlightening because that stuff is very powerful and should be used with great care. The Tug Hill Conference is coming up on April 11th. We had, with tonight's bills, there's reservations for 4 people, but if some of the rest of you would like to go, you could still go. I've got more sign-up sheets. You would have to send your own check and be reimbursed by the town. But if you're going to do so, please send it by the 21st of March, because afterward it goes up to $40.
I didn't see anything particularly interesting for the town board members, so.
Yeah. I did sign up for it, and some of the planning board members are going, so that's just a reminder on that.
Okay.
Their final roller skating program is Monday the 18th from 5 until 7, and that's been increasingly successful, is my understanding, and there's only one more night.
Sunday, you said Monday.
Sunday.
Sunday.
I'm sorry. And that's for Granby youth and the parents. I had a notice from the state regarding the residential assessment ratio, and I want to quickly point out this is not the equalization rate. This is another ratio that they come up with, and it is calculated by dividing the total assessed value by the total selling price of each sale, and they looked at 41 sales. They came up with a residential assessment ratio of 99.76. So I thought that was excellent. It shows that our assessors are doing a very good job of accuracy in their assessments. And that was from July 99 through June of 2000.
Wow, very good.
As far as the practical reality,
Yeah.
implications, I don't know, but it does show that our people are working very hard. Code enforcement, Mr. Shatro has changed his work, his day job, so to speak. He will still be in on Tuesday mornings, but every other week, and then on the other weeks, it will be Monday night.
It'll be on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, 9 to 12? It's
Yes,
gonna be, yeah.
8 to 12, I think he
8 to 12?
Odd and even.
Ruth and I are going to do up a calendar so that we
Oh, okay.
can specifically tell people when
Right.
someone will be here.
And he's going, but this only pertains to Chris?
That's just Chris. Brace still will be coming on Tuesday and Thursday nights.
And he's going to be on Monday night too also. Okay, well, you're going to
So-
make up a calendar, I'll worry about it.
At least twice a week, someone will be here. most weeks.
Okay.
So we haven't decreased our hours, but just changed them slightly. It's a little bit complicated. Okay. I'm pleased tonight to have another guest, Mr. Webb Reed from Operation Oswego County, thank you. Who is here to answer any further questions we may have about the Empire Zone. Mr. Reed and Jeff Hodge from Fulton Community Development Office were here at our work session and explained some of the several nice benefits of the Empire Zone and the extension of this Empire Zone into the town of Granby. And it is now up to us to pass a resolution that will move the whole process forward. Would you like to make any comments at all to maybe review some of the benefits?
Sure. Why don't you go over there, in this first aid? Sure. And we'll get you on the record that way.
Again, as Supervisor Hawthorne said, I'm Webb Reed and I'm with Operation Oswego County, and we jointly administer the economic development zones with the City of Oswego and City of Fulton. And the Fulton zone, we started actually in late '99 and decided to expand the boundaries of the zone to cover more areas, and we also decided we could delete some of the parking lot areas that were not essential around the Miller Brewery from the zone and expand them across the railroad track into the sewage treatment plant in Volney. And we also went out to Interface Solutions and the industrial park near the airport in Volney. And part of what was desired was to move down State Route 3 and Hannibal Street in the area of Granby, and we did that. We went about 400 feet back, essentially from the edge of the road right away into the areas along Route 3 and Hannibal Street to cover essentially all the businesses that might be able to benefit from the zone. I did check, by the way, to see if the Johnston's gas was in the zone, and it appears that it might be. I haven't actually got out the measuring tape. There's a little too much snow right now, but it is quite a ways back on the street it's on, but if you take it from the edge of the road pavement and go cross lots, I think it is in the zone. So it's covered most of the businesses along Route 3 and Hannibal Street, and some of the benefits are the ones that were in the economic development zone, which is the same zone has now become the Empire Zone. And they're essentially wage tax credits, investment tax credits for business and industry for investment tax credits. They're electric and gas utility discounts for large users. You can even have small users get a slight electric discount, but it's not as good as it was before deregulation. There's other things like double your normal wage tax credits if you hire people that fall into targeted groups. The new ones that come with the Empire Zone are very interesting ones in that they offer 3 basic new benefits that were added, and that's a general tax reduction credit, and it's a very elaborate formula based on increase in employment and the amount of investment you have inside the zone as compared to outside the zone if you're a large company. And for smaller companies, of course, they could qualify for that easily if it was a new investment in the zone. They have a sales and use tax exemption on the 4% state sales tax. The local city or county sales taxes have not been affected. And then the biggest one is a real property tax credit, and that would be nothing to do with your local assessment and real property tax. What happens is if you meet this very elaborate formula of showing an increase. For example, if you had, again, there's a base period of 5 years prior to your test period, then there's a base that's your test period, and then you take the year you're in. So if last year a company had 10 employees, and this year the company had 15 employees, and over the previous 5 years they had averaged below the 10, so that they weren't above it to bring it all together to a lower thing. If you try to take it simple, which was really hard to do, if you had 10 and now you've got 15, you could get 50% of the taxes you paid to the school district, town, and county. If you don't owe the state any tax, if you use these other deductions to reduce them, you could actually get that reimbursed to you, so that in the year 2002, when you're doing your taxes with the state for your 2001 fiscal year, and you had that formula occur, you might be able to get a reimbursement for the local property taxes you paid. So it looks good as a sales tool, but it may not be that great unless you've had a significant increase in your employment from the previous year or your base year.
What if it were a new business?
If it were a new business, you would get it. You would get it 100%.
Oh.
So, and again, that's providing you meet these other criteria. And again, for the first year anyway, you would be able to get all of your property tax reimbursed to you. But we were really concerned because we felt the state maybe hadn't considered the fiscal impacts of this when they decided to do this. But if you look at large businesses like Alcan, for example, they have been, in fact, decreasing employment. You know, Nestle has, in fact, been decreasing employment. Now, Sealright has been increasing employment over their base year, over their base period, but over their last year, did they increase that much between between 2000 and 2001 to begin to claim this, because this didn't go into effect till 2001. So you have to take the 2000 year as your, I'm not using the right terms, but as a single base year, and then you have to look at that in relation to the years before that, as well as what they're doing now in 2001. So you think you may be giving away a lot of taxes, or the state may be reimbursing localities or local businesses for these taxes, but in fact, that may not be true in very many cases at all. But to attract new business in, it looks very promising that you're going to be able to get your property taxes reimbursed to you if you meet these formulas. So, any questions? I'm sorry if it sounds complicated. It is very complicated. And even if I sit down with a calculator one-on-one with a business, it's difficult to do since I'm not a CPA or accountant. And they're very elaborate formulas. I've got a handout here if you'd like to see how elaborate they are.
I would mention that we did another resident on Route 3, or business owner on Route 3 did come in, Mr. Baldwin, and he is very much in favor of this.
Yeah, I told him.
I had a call this morning from someone out in the Hannibal area that had been notified by the state taxation and finance if they could qualify for QEZ, and I said, well, did you have a Fulton address? Thinking, and they said, no, it's a Hannibal address. I said, I have no idea why they said something like that. No, you don't even come close to being in an economic empire.
Probably a politician trying to get some points.
The state is pushing it too, apparently. I asked her to send me a copy of the letter so I could see what they were doing.
Did any board members have any more questions since I thought you covered it very nicely at your last meeting.
Did anyone want to see copies of the maps of the proposed zone or anything? Good, I've got extras to take back.
Well, we know that people in that area from our being on the board are all interested in that, the business that are existing businesses. You know, from the
So, we didn't discover any downside to the whole thing.
I can't think of any right now because
To
it
either of those.
have a financial effect on a local municipality and can help attract new business in, or even local business that's there expand. And there is a large area for building new businesses along Route 3 or even some up in the Hannibal Street area that's commercially.
This is already in a commercial zone.
I think, yeah, and I think we also talked earlier that there was some problem with a Fulton water district.
Right.
You know, this could benefit if you're going after some state monies to say this does fall into an Empire Zone designated area and, you know, might get you to the top of the pile to get recognition rather than be buried somewhere down
Great.
inside it.
That would be very
Doesn't
helpful.
guarantee you anything, but it might get you somewhere.
Anything would help.
Right, that's another plus, right?
You know, we are prepared to do the resolution tonight. How the other municipalities also have to do something? When does this
Yes,
actually become final?
Yeah, each municipality, the city of Fulton, the town of Valmy, the town of Granby, and Oswego County will all pass either local laws or resolutions. As it turns out, this time all the county and the city and you folks have to pass is resolutions because you're not deleting any areas, but the town of Valmy has to pass a local law to delete the area we deleted around Miller. And so they will all be taking place hopefully within the next month, and then we submit that to the state and they give the final approval.
The state has to approve it. Okay.
Yeah, they've given a tentative approval to Jeff through correspondence when we sent out copies of the maps and explained our reasoning and rationale for, you know, expanding the zone where we did. And it all is in kind of a meets and bounds kind of format. We don't have it surveyed, but we talk about so many feet away from the road and certain parcels of land that it affects and so on.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming again.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I am prepared at this time to go forward with the resolution. Would you like me to make that?
Yeah.
To read the resolution? This is a resolution for inclusion in the Fulton Empire Zone. Whereas the City of Fulton Empire Zone, a program of the New York State Empire State Development, has an opportunity to expand its boundaries by 361 acres, and whereas the town of Granby has an opportunity to include portions of the town within the boundaries of the Empire Zone, and therefore be it resolved, the town of Granby finds it appropriate that the Fulton Empire Zone, which included in portions of the city of Fulton and the town of Valmy, be revised to expand into portions of the city of Fulton and town of Valmy and portions of the town of Granby, according to the maps and legal description here included herewith. And be it further resolved, the town of Granby finds it appropriate that the supervisor of the town of Granby or appointed representative be named to the Empire Zone Administrative Board. I also have, and I think it should go with this resolution, is the specific description, which is, I don't know if I need to read this all, but it's approximately 400 feet on going out Route 3 and along Hannibal Street within the town of Granby. And the map, we can include that with the resolution. I would make that resolution.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Well, I guess the only discussion I have, along with the resolution, do we have to appoint the person that was going to be on the committee? I think we talked about that in the work session. I don't know if that's to be done tonight.
I would like to serve on that committee myself.
Yeah, I was going to make, if that has...
I think this resolution covers it.
Okay.
Okay.
Or we could just cross out that other.
Pardon?
Should be the town supervisor.
Yes, that's what we were discussing at the work session. Right.
Anything else?
Nope.
Ruth, would you call the roll?
Counselor Krakow?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Thank you. We've done our part.
Now, who do you send those to? To Jeff's office later?
I don't know. Do you need a copy of that resolution?
I don't need it tonight, you can send it to Jeff.
You would like one sent to Jeff so he can include it with the package? Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, I'll sit here for a little bit.
You're welcome to.
You're welcome.
Of course. I had a letter from the New York State Department of Transportation back about over a year and a half ago. We asked for a speed zone change or speed limit change on Pendergast Road. I will read the order that they came up with. 45 miles per hour on Pendergast Road, a town road between the Onondaga-Oswego County line and County Line Road, a distance of 0.5 miles, more or less. So it's not even half a loaf. It's about a third of the distance. We got something, but...
It's a half a mile. Well, wait a minute, it starts at Hammondsville Road and runs the county
No,
line.
it's starting from the Onondaga County line, coming up only about half a mile.
Oh, that's when you go, oh, it's got a, oh, gee. But it was all those other people from county line.
I don't even remember who
Yeah.
asked for it originally.
To County Line Road to...
To Hammondsville Road, all those people in there.
It was Andy Hunnell, or one from his family who originally asked.
He did,
Was in that section.
he sent a letter recently. I don't know who the first letter was from. I don't remember.
I think the original request was made on our, we just went ahead.
Oh, we did it.
Didn't get a
Okay.
petition or anything.
Okay. But is the Hunnell family, and would they be involved in this, or are they too far up?
They're in that section.
Oh, good. Okay.
What about the guy that we know that it's at the other, Hannibal, Hammondsville there? You know, the guy on the right?
No,
And then there's 2 or 3 other people, I can't think of the names, but you know, and I both know them, we see them. They've always complained about it. Yeah.
Well, we have warned people before when many people ask for speed limit changes, and it's very, very difficult to get the state to make those changes. So I guess we can be thankful for what we got.
Well, it should be more than 45 the way the type of road it is, but, okay.
Okay. Also have, I guess we are easing into new business here. Each year we have to do a resolution regarding closing of the roads. To do that, you're a highway person.
Oh, for the spring? Okay, public notice, Town of Granby road closures pursuant to Article 41, Section 1660, Paragraph 11 of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law. Notice is hereby given that all the roads in the Town of Granby, County of Oswego, New York, will be temporarily closed to vehicles with a gross weight in excess of 4 tons per axle. Such exclusion shall take effect upon the erection of signs on the highway on which such vehicles are excluded by order of the town board. I'll make the motion on the resolution then.
Second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay. This is our standard resolution for each spring, and it's, Ruth, would you call the roll?
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
That is carried. Each year, we sign a new agreement with the Oswego County Department of Planning and Community Development for assistance with a comprehensive plan. I'd like to think that this is the last year we will be, not that I don't enjoy working with them, they're very cooperative and very helpful, but the agreement is the same as past years. Fee is billed quarterly, shall not exceed $2,500 in a calendar year 2001. Any further services shall not be rendered by the county unless the expenditures above the $2,500 are specifically authorized by the town. And,
I'll make the motion. You need a motion.
okay, and we do need, I'd like a motion authorizing me to sign this agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Ruth, would you call the roll?
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Okay. It's hard to think about mowing lawn, but by the time we get bids in and so forth, and possibly have to rebid, we better start tonight, I think, to have a motion authorizing the town clerk to advertise for bids for the mowing of the cemeteries and a separate bid for the mowing of the town hall complex.
Yes, I'll make that motion. I'll have a discussion after.
No, second.
Okay?
The only thing I want to bring up on the discussion of it is we know it's a separate bid for the town complex here. But we had a problem last year with the cemetery near Rosie's place. I can also mind blank on the name of it. The Granby Cemetery.
Granby Center Cemetery.
Granby Center, yeah. We got to be more
Yes.
specific in our specs, and should we get together with you or discuss it between?
Well, if you want to. Ruth and I were discussing that today, and I think we should put in the specs something specifically related to keeping the brush cut down on the banks. And not just there, but Ruth said the Lewis Cemetery in front of there.
They're not weed eating it on the banks like they should.
And I'm trying to think, do we have...
Because there was some misunderstanding about that last year. And
Right. Do
with
we have
the
any problem
vendor
down
that we had.
at the other cemetery we're working on? Did you remember, Lynn?
Merritt?
Yeah.
Well, that one's pretty close to the road. I don't think there's been...
I mean, we have any complaints? I'm trying to help. I remember if there's any complaints.
The
that things-
trees, it's you got the road and then you've got those big maples and the fence right behind them, so I don't let much grass grow there.
Now, we've had complaints, but
Yeah.
in terms of the back end, are we going to be able to do some more work on that this year?
I'm gonna try. It's gotta be dry before we get in there. We do more damage than good, and it just depends on the season we have.
Right.
Now, Ruth, did we bring up last year with the one with all the trees up there on, I don't know what my name's, all of a sudden,
Lewis?
No. The one I go up and take care of a lot. 85.
Lewis.
Lewis, okay. Lewis Cemetery. With the raking, did we put in for 2 times to clean up the leaves because there's so many trees up in that area? You know, 'cause
I
they
think
need-
that was supposed to be part of the specs.
last year.
Yeah.
Because it should be raked in the spring, and actually be better up. Me and Lynn were looking at it, I don't know if it was last fall or the fall before, of having it done in the fall also, because that's when it's easy to get all that stuff up. Okay.
I
Should
think
we
it
put
was.
that in the specs?
I think it was in the specs.
She thinks, well, that's the only thing because we both agreed, didn't we, by looking at it, it'd be better if they raked it up in the fall.
Yeah,
and it
'cause
would
they
be
lay there all winter, they end up killing the
Right.
grass.
Yeah, and it would, then less.
I'm quite certain they didn't rake it in the fall because we didn't get a bill past September.
Right, so
So,
I guess that's basically, I just wanted to, I didn't know we were going to do this, I had my brain working on the
Well.
names of them here.
I think you can help Ruth to come up with the actual wording, but
Yeah.
I do think that we need to spell it out a little bit more specifically.
I know me and
in terms of
Lynn
the
were up there
expectations.
a couple of times, and he come up, actually it was Lynn's suggestion, he said, you know, to get these guys to rake it up in the fall, they'd be way ahead of the time in the springtime. It'd be much easier in the spring for them.
Okay.
Okay,
Did we have, did you?
I made a motion. And I think I-
Yes, right, we're
We
discussing.
had a second, we were getting a
Okay.
discussion.
I'm sorry, senior moment.
Yeah, we are.
Ruth, would you call the roll on that one?
Council Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Council Hagerty?
Yes.
Council Arnold?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to bring you up to date on you put in the budget that I would have a part-time clerk for 10 hours a week, and my clerk that has been out on maternity leave, she's not yet back. I think she's about ready to come back, but probably not yet on the full 10 hours a week. So in the interim, I would like to, I've asked Cindy Crockford to come in. We know that Cindy's work is very good because she's been coming in working on some of the grant projects that we have. And her skills are excellent and her work ethic is excellent. So if there's no problem, I will
It's you know, or
hire her. She would be paid the $8 per hour. The Sarah grant work, she was getting $8.50 per hour. But that's
But this
paid
is-
by the state.
right. I mean, this is in compliance with all the other clerks.
Yes,
so-
this is the
Right.
same.
Okay.
So I don't know that this needs a resolution. But,
No, probably.
I just wanted to let you know that she's going to start tomorrow, and it will be helpful to me. There's some other things I want to be able to put a little more attention to than the
Were you going to just
clerical stuff.
appoint it to that position on a part-time basis? Do we have to run just a motion on it?
Yeah, you can if you wish.
We usually always have
Why
motions
don't
on
you
it.
do so?
Okay, I'll make a motion you appoint Cindy Crawford on his part-time position as clerk to the supervisor.
At a salary of $8 per
Good
hour.
salaries for all.
Okay. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. All right. Mr. Boyne?
Aye.
Aye.
Lynn wants me to read all this.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I apologize for not being here last month, but it's going to be every other month when I show up because I have another meeting in Fulton, and I'm going to share my
Constituents, yeah.
in that. Of course, if you need me, just get a hold of me and I'll be very happy to be here, any special meeting. Things are going pretty well in the county. It's been pretty quiet right now, and but everything seems to be under control. We have what I anticipate to be a quiet meeting tomorrow, but sometimes they never happen. We got to pass a couple resolutions to pay all the deputies. You understand that, right? For their new contract, and we'll take care of the deputies. They've taken good care of us in that. We have probably one controversial issue. We are attempting to change our third-party administrator for health insurance and that. Well, we figured that we could save maybe $300,000 to $500,000 a year by changing the third-party administrator. And that will be debatable tomorrow, but I think it'll pass all right in that. But outside of that, most agenda is budget modifications and that, and appointments to the Fire Advisory Board and all that. So that's all I have. And Morris is doing a good job.
Good.
Correct. Is that health insurance? Not health insurance you're talking about? Health insurance?
Health insurance, yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a report from the dog control officer. 37 complaints. Number of dogs picked up 10. Number of dogs destroyed 3. Number of dogs released 8. Number of dogs on hand 3. We had some donated food. We paid $100 for kerosene, $165 for vet, and $4 for ads, and monthly mileage was 459 miles. The impoundment fees collected were $30, and adoption fees collected were $25. This is a report from the historian. I had correspondence from 2 individuals looking for family history. I mailed them the appropriate request sheets, which include rates charged for the service, and referred them to Ruth. We started work in the records room, finishing up on work of our last grant. This work will be completed by June 30th. I am continuing to clip newspaper articles for Granby scrapbook. I put the barns, which is a special project of hers, on hold for February, so until this time next month, I think spring. I talked to Elaine, this is from Elaine Woolridge, our historian, some time ago about the fact that as a historian, I look at everything that's happening today as tomorrow's history, and I think it's important for her to be, that's why I suggested she be keeping a scrapbook of some of the newspaper articles and so forth, so that we have the people in the future will be able to look back and have a better picture of what Granby was like. I also would mention, I had a letter from the planning board about John D. Hollander from the Soil and Water Conservation District had indicated that he would be charging $25 an hour for his consultation on subdevelopment information, or reviews. And, but it's kind of a moot point because last year we did pass the law regarding an escrow account, and we set it up by local law that any person who comes in and does a subdivision will be putting money into escrow, and one of the things that pays for is not just engineers or lawyers, but any kind of consultants. So I think we're covered on that. We don't have to take any specific action to add that, to be sure that the developer pays for that. I've already mentioned the assessors. They've also done an excellent job this year in terms of getting the STAR applications in. Planning board?
Anybody go? I don't know.
Okay.
I went to the last, Nancy and I went to the last meeting.
Well, they're moving along. It's a slow process in terms of that comprehensive plan. The next meeting for the comprehensive plan will be on the 27th, which is a Tuesday night. ZBA?
No?
Yeah, next Wednesday, we've scheduled a public hearing for Judy Shaw and Dan Ramsey's request of an area variance for their property located at 426 Pendergast Road.
Okay.
That's at 7 o'clock too, probably here, right?
Yes, 7 o'clock here.
All right. Our youth director is starting plans for the summer program, and like I say, the roller skating is just about wrapped up. Highway superintendent.
Oh, boy, here we get out.
I read that thing.
Shortly.
Well, back in February, which wasn't too long ago, we're doing the same thing we did in November, December, and January. We plowed 25 out of the 28 days of the month, so.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
A lot of strong winds to go with it, too, so we ended up chasing drifts and picking up limbs and a little bit of tree damage, but not too bad with the trees. Still mixing salt and sand as we're using it up, trying not to get too much stockpile so it sits there all summer, just enough so we can get through. We did have an accident here a short while ago. A car ran into the back of one of the snow plows. The car, I think, was probably total. There's a lot of damage to the car. No serious injuries. The driver of the car, they did take her to the hospital, but it was just minor stuff. I think she was pretty much shook up. She was ticketed for, I'm not going to say, I forgot what he wrote the ticket for right now, it slips my mind. But anyway, we didn't have much damage at all. It was very minor. A few brake chamber and stuff like that. So I did submit a claim to their insurance company. We should get reimbursed for any of the damage that was done to our vehicle. A couple of days there when it didn't snow, we stripped one of the trucks down, started hauling some limestone to get ready for summer. I was hoping to get a lot of stone hauled in March, but the way it's going, it doesn't look like we're going to get too much of a jump on that.
Well, we just posted the roads.
Well, we're running state roads and county roads, so we're all set.
Very good.
Sure. John D. Hollander did notify us that our grant application for the salt storage building that we applied for has been filed, so we just sit and wait and see what happens with that. There's no way to know. The operation and maintenance part of the CHIPS program, the Consolidated Highway Improvement Program, the report for that has been filed, so we can get our reimbursement back from that. And you mentioned the Pendergast Road speed limit reduction, and I did, after we got the letter, I called the resident engineer from the state, and he put me in touch with a guy who did the actual review of the road, because I thought maybe they had made a mistake and only looked at that half-mile section from county line to the actual county line with Lysander there. But he said, no, they reviewed the whole road, and the rest of it just didn't warrant it because there weren't enough houses, and the road was good enough for the speed. So that's where it ended up. So.
Okay.
That's what I said. There's a lot of vertical curves, and he said we took that into effect. And
The dips in it, you can't even see after I know I drive the road 2 or 3 times, so I used to drive it every day.
Well, it's kind of like talking to him about 176 and the shoulders and the problems up there too. You just, they've only got so much money to do what they're going to do, and that's set up for this section. So.
How would you,
In for it again, we
Len?
move down another half a mile.
You mentioned they got that on file for the salt building.
Yes.
Now, would it be any value, do you know if we got a supervisor, somebody got a hold of Jim Wright to see if that can help us any to get any?
Well, it might not hurt. I don't know if he could get involved in the process or not. And someone else mentioned too that the Lake Neewanah Reclamation Committee, maybe they could write a letter to someone too, since we are in their watershed area, and that's one of the criteria we're using for the application.
Right.
Probably need to talk to John D. Hollander to see when these kind of things might have an effect.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if it's too early yet or not. We may have to go through the process first and then fine tune it after that. But
I believe he did indicate in the application itself that the Lake Neewanah is a priority 1 watershed. So that may be helpful
that's what
to
we're
us.
hoping is going to help us.
Well, full-time supervisor who's always here will keep on top of anyways. Send appropriate information at the time.
Thank you. I don't have anything in particular from code enforcement.
No, I don't either.
The annual report was filed with the state in a timely fashion, and you all have copies, and there's a copy in the...
That's a big fancy one now, huh? That's the one that went to the state.
Well, the state got the official one, and that one is...
Yeah, but I mean, this is bound. Wow, that's very nice.
So that's out of the way, and anyone is welcome to look at it. And, there's no surprises in it. I think all the accounts came in. There are no overdrawn accounts or anything like that, so we're in good shape. Any other board members have any reports?
The only thing I don't know when to bring it up before we get into the bills and open up. Do we want to send anybody to that meeting on the 28th? Could you send the deputy supervisor if he is willing to go rather than coming, or do we need him at the...
I don't know, what do you think?
I don't know.
I went to a meeting this afternoon. They had a meeting for farmers. I expect the same farmers will all come to that meeting because they feel somewhat
Threatened?
threatened. With some reason, because the summary, I'm anxious to read the whole report. The summary seems to really focus on those farm areas.
It's obvious the phosphorus is coming from fertilizer.
But there are other sources.
Yeah.
There's storm drains and so forth that I'd like to see.
Well, I didn't know if Lynn would have to.
Yeah.
We wouldn't mind going.
I might.
It's, if we don't meet him at the work session.
Talking about Julie.
No, I didn't know if you might want to go, if it's okay with you and Nancy to go to that meeting they got on the 28th in the city. But we have our work session, rather than you coming to the work session, if that would be all right with you, to get any that's going on here and ask questions on behalf of the town.
It's really up to you.
28th, let me look at that and see.
Okay, good enough. Because I don't really want to postpone the meeting unless everybody thinks, like Nancy, don't think it's necessary for us to.
I'm quite familiar with what their effort is. I've followed it since 1988. Got somewhat involved in when I worked with Cooperative Extension. So
Okay. Okay.
It's up to you folks.
No, that's
If you
fine.
wanted to go, we could change the meeting. You'll need a...
I'll make a motion to approve the payment of the town bills as prepared for abstract 3A-01 in the amounts of $3,761.19 from general fund and $7,418.66 from highway fund.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then our next meeting will be March 28th. We will start with a department meeting with the code enforcement people. I believe that they both can be here, expect to be here. And I think that we have quite a bit we could discuss with them.
Yeah, I
in
hope
terms of the new checklist that Chris came up with, and also remember that we put some money in the budget for a third part-time person, and we should be discussing the position description, or getting their input on how that person might fit into the team.
So if they can't both be here, would we reschedule it?
I think we'd reschedule if something happened, they cannot both be here.
Right, okay.
Because it's a real important meeting.
Right.
And then we will follow that directly whenever that ends with our work session.
All right. Fine.
And then our regular monthly meeting is April 11th.
Right, okay.
Any comment from the public? You have a question, or we welcome you?
Don't be shy.
This is part of a school project?
Yeah, I'm a senior. I go to Hannibal. I'm in New Vision, but I'm required to attend the public meeting.
Is that correct?
Economics.
Good.
Very good.
Thank you. Well, I hope it's been interesting to you and informative.
One of our better ones had a little bit of different.
I'm impressed.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's a lot of things going on all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just little by little, you chip away at them.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you for coming.
I forgot to mention something, Nancy. Our next meeting, regular meeting, April 11th, I'm going to be out of town that day, so I'm going to have to miss the meeting. I hate to. I don't think I've missed one in about 5
I know it.
Oh, my gosh. We'll collapse, won't we? We'll be
You going to
I'm sure you
Florida?
can handle it.
Ask him where he's going.
Florida?
South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
It'll still be snowing down there.
Nancy,
They're taking a while.
could we mention that we have sent a tentative date for the rabies clinic on May 2nd,
Excellent. Oh, good.
7 o'clock?
May 2nd, that's a Wednesday night.
It's a Wednesday night, May 2nd, from, 6 to 8?
Okay.
6 to 8 p.m.
You got that?
Yes, earlier. But we'll get some more
Sure, it's
information.
the one, it's
You
just
said
one of our
7?
meetings.
6 to 8.
that sounds right.
6 to 8. On May 2nd, Wednesday night.
Always very well attended, but it's also very efficiently run so that people get in and out very quickly. So, and it's very inexpensive, and
Yeah, $5 or something.
we appreciate the fact that
What's 6?
Connie
6 to
comes
8?
over.
6 to 8, May 2nd.
Cold.
Shall we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.